Hey there, I'm Misha, and today I want to share a few tips to overcome Zoom fatigue. I do Zoom calls occasionally, and honestly, I find them pretty tiring. I try not to do calls for more than 30 minutes long because it really just messes with my day. Obviously, there's people out there who have much longer calls and have to do multiple calls every day. So if you are one of those people and you are watching, then I really hope this is helpful for you to relieve a little bit of that stress and fatigue.
I am stressed.
So there was a research out of Stanford a couple of years ago that showed 4 key factors why people get fatigued and stressed and anxious, and also 4 solutions to these problems. The first one is excessive and close-up eye contact. So typically, from an evolutionary perspective, if you are really close to someone's face, that means one of 2 things. Either you're about to mate or you're about to fight. So when you are doing a Zoom call with a giant face on the screen and you're just sitting there making eye contact for an hour or longer, that actually activates your sympathetic fight or flight nervous system, and that puts you in an anxious state. So we are not used to doing that. The solution to this is, well, number 1, minimize the other person's screen. Make the box much smaller in relative size to your desktop and other screens. I just tried this yesterday and immediately I felt a lot better. I felt like, whoa, this person's not in my face and actually they're at a bit of a distance and I can sort of relax. The other thing you can do is move your computer away from you a little bit further and see how that feels.
Modern problems require modern solutions.
The second thing is seeing yourself during video calls is actually really tiring and unnatural. So in a normal conversation in person, we don't have a mirror in front of us reflecting our face to us and our body, right? So it's really strange that many people have their own self-screen, their own self-view as part of the video. So you're looking at yourself and you're talking to the other person, but at least in my case, I'm always sort of glancing at myself as I talk just to make sure I look okay. It's a little bit narcissistic, maybe a little bit worried about how I look. That is just weird. It's not how we have a normal conversation. So remove the self view so you can only see the other person. When I tried this, it was a little bit weird at first because I was used to noticing myself on the screen. But after a couple times, it actually felt really nice. It removed a lot of ego from the conversation and I was just able to focus on the other person without worrying about how I looked.
How do I look?
The third problem is video calls really reduce mobility. Usually you're close up to the screen and you're not moving around a lot, you're just talking. You don't really get to see the whole body. That is strange, right? Because a lot of our communication is through body language and it's through sort of seeing the depth and the environment and our relationship to that environment. So the best advice here is get a little bit of distance from the camera, from your computer. You can also make sure you have some objects in the background, maybe a bookshelf or a plant or something, just to have a bit more depth in the video. If you can get a camera that actually tracks and moves as you move, then that's a huge plus. And the fourth thing is the cognitive load in video chats is much higher. So if you notice, a lot of the times in video chats, you're sort of giving people a thumbs up or exaggerating your gestures because it's a little bit harder to see over a video call versus being in person. This is really unnatural and it is a really big cognitive load for us because we're always having to think or try and guess if that person is understanding us, right? That is very stressful. What the researchers from the study recommend is that you take some audio breaks, audio only breaks. So turn your video off for a few minutes, move around, stretch around, or continue your call but without the video. And you'll notice that you won't be as worried about your expressions and people will just be listening to your voice. I just tried this as well recently and I found that it's actually a lot more relaxing than doing video calls. And I think from now on, I'll probably start mixing in both video and audio instead of just doing video calls. So I hope some of these tips were helpful for you. Let me know what you thought. If you have any other tips that work for reducing fatigue when you're doing video calls, then please share them in the comments below and I will see you next time. Thanks.